Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my Dragon Oracle card series, my weekly Dragon Oracle card series. Um, so last week we spent time with the blue dragons from the Pleiades, and this week, the week of February 1st, 2026, the dragon card for this week are the water dragons. I do believe the water dragons have come through before, so I think this is a second time that they've come through. And the water dragons are helping us to flow easily around obstacles. The Christ light and love are flowing, helping us to develop our psychic abilities and to go with the flow. So, um, immediately, this a very strong impression coming through immediately is that um, the water dragons are actually working in tandem with the blue dragons from the Pleiades. Remember, the blue dragons from the Pleiades are helping us to accept that source healing and that heart activation. Well, the water dragons are helping to hold space for that, keeping things buoyant for us so that they don't feel heavy and burdensome. And there is also that reframe coming through again of obstacle, wanting to reframe that connotation of obstacle as just yet another experience that we're moving through as these souls having these human experiences. So, um, the water dragons, again, are just helping to hold that space while we're going through that heart activation and that kind of soaking in and taking in that source healing that's coming from the blue dragons from the Pleiades. So they're working together. And the Christ light here is that universal influence, that energy source, that force that is that expansive, collective consciousness wisdom that we have all been cultivating, that we all have access to, um, regardless of our belief systems. So, this is a universal energy that illuminates all things, if you will, giving things consciousness. And the water dragons are helping us to ground into this energy, to access this energy um, through the heart activation from the blue dragons from the Pleiades. I should have held out that card as well. They're really working quite um, in a balanced way. They're really working together in tandem with this for us. And as we ground into that Christ light, that love, that transcendent love. So, that love that is that state of being that we are in our true essence and our true form and our true nature as souls of light. Um, that energy, that essence is flowing always. And so these green dragons are, I'm sorry, these water dragons who do happen to be green um, are helping us access and ground into that energy and holding space, again, holding space as we move through this heart activation and this accessing this source healing. Um, the what keeps coming through is the buoyancy of the water, um, creating levity to the things in our lives that feel heavy. So these water dragons want to be invited to help us move through those experiences that are contrasting from what we ideally want to have going on in our lives, and to allow them to help us look at them from a different vantage point. Um, Again, those sayings like the glass is half full versus half empty. Find the silver linings. Um, find find the um, yeah, find the silver linings. Find the joy. Try to find the lightness in it, and just helping us to go with the flow in that regard. So you can see this water dragon is knocking over that column in the water there, helping to bring the levity to the situations and circumstances in our life that feel heavy for us right now. And what's coming through also is water as a way to dilute the intensity of something. So just trying to think of an example. So I don't know why this is coming through in this way to describe this, but if you have, um, like if you have a piece of cloth that you're dyeing a particular color and you have the dye, the cloth that's been soaking in the dye, and then you add it to, like you take that cloth out, even if you wring it out, if you put it before it dries, if you put it in a larger pool of clear water, you'll start to see that dye kind of start leaching out into the water, the clear water itself. So in that way, these water dragons want to help us to um, decrease the intensity of how these challenging situations may be feeling, these obstacles, these experiences that are not as we would like for them to be, as we move through them, as we are moving through them, as recognizing them as opportunities for healing, for further understanding of ourselves, um, as we relate to the world around us and what those circumstances are directly related to. These water dragons want to help provide, like that's where the holding space comes in, is like they're that ocean of water that they want us to walk into so that they can help make less intense the things that are feeling very heavy for us. So to help dissipate the intensity, um, dilute the intensity, whether it's an emotional thing, whether it is um, fear or discomfort or anxiety, depression, like anything that's feeling very heavy, that feels like an obstacle that you potentially might not be able to overcome. These water dragons are encouraging us to remember that there is access that we have to this, that Christ light, that universal collective consciousness, divine, expansive wisdom. And as we are undergoing that heart activation, that source healing, that the blue dragons from the Pleiades are helping to bring to us, the water dragons are helping us to hold space to receive that healing and to go with the flow, let ourselves float in the water, and let the stress be released. Let the anxieties be released. Let the grief be released. Let the discomfort be released, and just let go and trust in that um, expansive, transcendent consciousness, wisdom, expanded wisdom, transcendent love that is always ever present, allowing ourselves to just access that and help keep us buoyant in those times that might feel tumultuous. Okay. And the other part of this message where it's talking about developing our psychic abilities. So as that's what the heart activations and the source healing is going to be helping us to do. It's going to be helping us to continue to be able to develop those psychic abilities. And um, in a sense that, so there's something that's coming through these water dragons want me to emphasize something related to this developing psychic abilities. So there's interesting connotations that some cultures and societies attach to what being a psychic means. Um, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of my teachers was explaining how the root of the word psychic really is related to the soul's breath, right? So, you know, as someone who has developed my psychic abilities, my abilities to connect with the soul's breath. Now, that to me is beautiful. Like the connotations of that are quite beautiful to me, you know, connecting with the essence of the soul of a person, of a human, of a soul having human experiences. So, you know, the ability to do that lies within all of us because we are that. So, of course, we'll be able to, when given the opportunity, when we've moved through healing to clear the pathway, to be able to connect in with that, with our inner wisdom, our innate expansive knowledge that's always been there. Um, that's going to be naturally what's going to be happening. So, um, developing our psychic abilities. There it is. These water dragons don't want us to be intimidated by what that potentially means. They want us to let go of the connotations of what that means. And it just really means tapping in and tuning in to that higher consciousness, expanded consciousness, wisdom, and our intuition, um, our our spirit, our soul communicates with us through our imagination. So using that imagination um, creatively and um, the intuition, the intuitive hits that we get, the gut feelings that we get. Sometimes people call certain bits of information coming from spirit um, as downloads, you know, all of that are different ways that we connect in with what our spirit is telling us to do, what our soul's breath, what our psychic abilities are, you know, teaching us and showing us and guiding us. So this is naturally going to be happening with greater ease and more of an accelerated way as we allow for that heart healing and source healing and heart activation to be happening. So again, these water dragons and the blue dragons from the Pleiades are working together. So those are the primary messages coming through. All right, so my name is Gia, and I am an intuitive. I am a psychic energy reader and healer. So, through the soul's breath, I have developed my ability to read energy and to help heal energy. And I do this on all kind of topics, and I would love to do this with you. If you reach out to me this week, I will offer a discounted price on a 30-minute reading for you relative to the messages coming through with the water dragons. This would be a 30-minute reading Typically $70 would be $35, and it can be scheduled at any time. So the messages there are pretty succinct in that regard. Just trying to see if there's anything else that wants to come through. So what wants to come through now is relative to effort. So if you'll notice in this image, the water dragon has been able to move this, push this column, destroy the column, move it out of the way. Um, and if you'll notice there, it doesn't look like the water dragon is using much effort. Like you don't see like an effort for like pushing and leaning in to force it. It's So the message coming through there is the water dragons want us to let go of effortful energy. So I'm getting a sense that is probably going to be related to the symbol that we might be clearing today. So letting go of effort and going with the flow. The energy around effort does tend to get in the way of being able to move through experiences in a natural ebb and flow kind of way. And also, what's coming through here as well is the notions of divine timing and how powerful water can be when it's in flow. So I think of, how the Grand Canyon was formed. I think about how water can smooth rough stones, as it tumbles through the ocean and the water. And so, of course, as I think about that, I'm like, okay, the things that I desire to happen and to occur, I don't want it to take as long as it took the Grand Canyon to form, like things like that. But it's the concept and the principle of, the notion of how powerful um, being grounded into that present moment with that transcendent love and that Christ-light universal um, influencing energy that is illuminating all things, accessing that in our present moment grounded stillness um, allows for us to let divine timing happen as it needs to. It allows us to allow the ebb and flow of our experiences happen as they need to. Um, and I'm remembering also that at a different card, I think it was the Spirit Animal series, obstacle, the word obstacle, this my spirit keeps wanting me to reframe this. Obstacle has that connotation to it that perhaps this is something that I might not be able to overcome, right? Maybe I'm not powerful enough to overcome it. Um, but when I reframe that as even the word challenge has a slight connotation like that as well for me. So when I reframe that to, okay, this is an experience, another experience that I'm moving through as a soul having these human experiences that is not mirroring what I desire. However, I'm moving through it. What is this experience showing me about myself? What is it highlighting as potential lessons for me, opportunities for healing, opportunities to recognize my resilience as I move through it and get to the other side of whatever that experience is. So that is a more empowering, for me, a more empowering way to think about obstacles and challenges. They are experiences that I am moving through, just like any other experience that I am moving through in this um, human life as this beautiful illuminated soul. And um, every experience is an opportunity for greater understanding of myself, of healing opportunities, lessons, and um, moving through to the other side and recognizing that as another feather in my cap that I can put there as a reminder that I survived that experience, moved through that experience. So, yes, letting go of effort and going with the flow, allowing universal timing, divine timing to be ever present, and reframing the obstacle to another experience that is helping build our knowledge base, our understanding of ourselves and the world around us and how we relate to it, and opportunities for healing and moving through to resilience. Okay, thank you, water dragons. And thank you, blue dragons from the Pleiades. So it sounds like they want to continue um, working with us. They want to continue to be invited to work with us alongside the water dragons. So let's see if I can. Well, no, I don't need to confirm that. That is coming through very clearly from the beginning of these messages coming through. So I am going to look at a symbol. I'm going to tune in and ask these water dragons um, if there is a symbol that wants to come through for us to look at tonight so we can clear some energy out of the way. And as I do that, I will go quiet for a bit as I tune in. So just reflect in your own ways. You can move into your own intentional meditation if you want or not, but just reflect in your own ways about these messages. Water dragon, um, helping to hold that space for us, that water that's going to help dissipate the intensity of these experiences that we're going through right now that are seeming to be heavy, help to create that buoyancy for that, helping us to flow easily around these obstacles, these experiences, um, helping us to ground into that Christ light and that transcendent love that is constantly flowing around us, through us, within us, that we are, as we continue to heal and expand our consciousness, wisdom, as we continue to ascend, we are moving those obstacles out of the way to that access to that, as we are receiving the source healing, then the heart activation from the blue dragons from the Pleiades, that Christ light and that love are able to flow more freely um, for us as we can ground into that. And then as these healings happen, as that source healing and heart activation is occurring, this is going to make it easier and easier for us to recognize and continue to develop our psychic abilities, connecting in with our soul's breath, that soul's breath awareness, and allowing us to go with the flow, um, allowing that divine timing to occur, the natural ebbs and flows. Um, and remembering how powerful that water is, you know, and thinking of those water, like the whales and the sharks and the manatees. There's like out of the water they weigh tons, they weigh a few tons, but in the water they float gracefully. Like it's just beautiful. All right, so tuning in. Going to ask the water dragons on this day, February 1st, 2026. It would be nice to help clear some energy for this collective group of us that are watching and participating in this weekly series, inviting the support of these beautiful dragons on our healing journeys. Is there a symbol that wants to come through today? What is this symbol that wants to come through today, February 1st, 2026, to help clear some energy around so that we can fully embody these messages, fully embody this heart activation and this access to source healing? So the symbol that's coming through is one of those sparklers, like the almost like a candle that never burns out. It's got the sparks on it, or like the sparklers that you would use at the 4th of July. Not like a fireworks shooting off, but you hold it and it just has the constant sparks coming off of the end. All right, so just asking for more information about what this symbol represents. On this day, February 1st, 2026. Just grounding this symbol to the center of the earth. Earth, Mother, planet Earth, the magnetic core of the earth, is always happy to receive, always happy to be relied upon to receive grounding of these symbols. And these symbols are just simply a way to stabilize energy and consolidate energy that we want to take a look at. Earth source energy is always happy to receive energy that we want to release and transform and transmute that energy into healing energy that we can use as source energy, as one type of source energy. So tell me more about the significance of this symbol. So this is an affirmation symbol. I had a feeling there was going to be an affirmation symbol coming through with this. This is the this is representative of the light that we are, the light that we are without any kind of form as matter that we are experiencing through, that we are incarnated into. So um, this sparkler is representative of that light within us, our soul's light, that spark of light, that inner flame that never goes out, no matter how dark our circumstances may seem, that no matter how dark they may literally be or how heavy they seem, there's always that spark of light. As long as, well, not even as long as, there's always that spark of light that is us, that can never be um, that can never be extinguished. It's ever present. It's ever present, and the intensity of experiences may cloud our view to that, our access to that temporarily, but it's always temporary. It's never a lasting thing. The experiences that we're moving through are temporary. This too shall pass. My mother used to say that all the time. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Challenging circumstances, experiences, this too shall pass. It is not going to last forever. But the spark of light that is us is infinite. So there is that affirmation of that. And the other part of this is like, think about the context when you use a sparkler. It's usually around a celebration, you're having fun. You know, in America, you know, whole nother story when we talk about celebrating the 4th of July, but I just think about fireworks, just the fireworks and the fun and the excitement. You know, it's celebratory. It's celebratory, it's fun, it's exciting. So these water dragons and spirit wants to remind us to not lose sight of the things that bring us joy, the things that put a smile on our face. And it could be the littlest of things, but to keep those things ever present in our lives, especially in those times when we are moving through experiences that are seeming to be heavy or emotionally charged. Where can you what can you do to set that up so that you're going to be reminded to look for that silver lining, to look for the joy in it, and that sort of childlike excitement about, you know, about even to get excited about having an experience that's a healing opportunity. I know that sounds a little bit like, how can you get excited about something that seems heavy or challenging or tumultuous or, anxiety producing, depressing? How do you get excited about that as a healing opportunity? Well, for me, I don't always feel excited about it. But what I do have gratitude for is the fact that I can recognize those experiences as opportunities to learn more about myself, um, to get to another deeper layer of healing, perhaps, depending on what the circumstance is or the experiences are that I'm moving through at the moment. And when I kind of get through to the other side of that experience, that's exciting to me when I can come through it and have that enlightened perspective, looking back at, the things that I may have learned. That's actually exciting to me because then I can take that as a jumping off point for further experiences that might be similar, that come my way. Um, so just the water dragons and spirit want us to really stay connected, try to bring those things into our lives, those practices and things into our lives that help us to stay connected to that childlike curiosity about the world and about ourselves. And, you know, instead of using words like, oh, this is burdensome, this is, why is this happening to me? You know, be curious about, okay, this circumstance is happening, and um, I wonder how I might be able to approach it differently this time, or, how can I think outside the box for figuring my way through this experience? Or, um, this might be the typical way that someone or something or a cultural sort of nurtured direction is suggesting that I move through this experience, but what if I did it this way? Or, you know, again, like wherever you can find those opportunities to identify this glass that has water in it halfway full. Is it halfway full or is it halfway empty? And again, what's coming through again is, I think what came through before last week is the notion that when we are able to shift our mindset to come from a positive, heart-centered, grounded way, just that shift and that reframe into the more affirmative, even if it's just language and words, the more affirmative, that actually really does have an impact on our energetic frequency. Like our energy, our signatures, our energetic signatures, um, are a real thing. Like we vibrate at a certain frequency. And when we are grounded in affirmative and positive ways of being and ways of moving through our experiences, it literally does have an impact on that on our overall energetic frequency, and it raises it. It raises it to a vibrational frequency that's more in tune with attracting those frequencies of abundance and transcendent love and groundedness and those kinds of things. So it's like the laws of attraction. And so like attracts like. So when we are able to shift and shift those frameworks and mindsets, it does have that impact overall. So the water dragons want us to remember that as well in this symbol. So that's why they're like, remember to have fun, remember to look for those silver linings, be curious like the child that's curious. I'm also remembering an experience when I used to do childcare in high school. I took care of this young toddler, this little boy who he was fearless. He was fearless and so clever and so smart. He knew how to stack things up to be able to climb on them to get to things. And he was so fast, you blink your eye and he's across the room. But what I'm remembering is a time when I was watching him stack some things up, and before I could get to him to just be there just in case he fell, he did fall down. It wasn't from very far, and I had more of a reaction to his fall than he did. He just kind of looked up, he kind of looked at me, but then kept going. And so that reminded me of how, you know, there was an opportunity in that moment where I could have taught him how to be more fearful, but he actually taught me how to be a little less fearful, a little more fearless, that he let me know he was okay. He was just checking in to see, how I might react to help him learn how to react to that situation. And I was ready to project my fear on him. But as soon as I recognized that he was okay and he was getting up and moved, like he didn't hit his head or anything, he just kind of fell over. And I had more of a reaction to that. So that is an example of how, that saying, what is that saying? Life isn't really, I might be getting the words wrong or whatever, but life is not so much about what's happening to us. It's how we react and respond to the things that are happening. Like it's not the experiences themselves, it's how we react and respond. And we have choices with regard to that. We have choices to react and respond in an affirmative, creative, way, from an empowered perspective, or to look at it from not that way. So choosing the affirmative whenever we can and putting those things in place to help set us up for success, to choose the affirmative. Glass is half full versus half empty. I didn't know it was possible to be an eternal optimist until I met one of my managers when I used to work for a company, a retail company. I couldn't believe, I was skeptical that this person was always constantly happy, positive all the time. But when I learned more about him and got to know him, it was really inspiring because he was that way. He was in that space, in that place of positivity all the time. And it did kind of, what's the word? It was kind of contagious, So that's where his elevated vibrational frequency of living through the lens of joy and transcendent love and positivity had an impact on me to be able to shift and change my mindset and perspective a little bit. So all of those good things like that. So let's see what this symbol is doing. So this sparkler symbol is an affirmation. So as I continue to ground it more solidly, to the magnetic core of the earth, and as I'm infusing it with beautiful healing energy, it is indeed, um, it started out with just a few little sparks, but as I'm grounding it and bringing it into this present moment for us all on this day, February 1st, 2026, it's just, the sparkles are just magnifying and multiplying, and it's kind of looking like a glowing light at the top of its little stick with some sparks flying off of it rather than just a few little sparks. Um, it's just getting brighter and brighter. So, just checking in if there's anything else, any other messages that want to come through. Just the, you know, reminders for being patient with ourselves, giving ourselves grace. Um, If you do follow my Spirit Animal Oracle series, Turtle and Lion Spirit are working together now for now. And Turtle, slow and steady wins the race. The reframe from Turtle, from Spirit on that is slow and steady is the pace, and be generous of spirit. Lion spirit, be generous of spirit. So those messages are actually coming through here of be generous with your self-care. Be generous with your self-reverence of that light within. Be protective of that. Be nurturing of that. Um, as you move through experiences in your life that are feeling heavy or challenging, or like obstacles that you don't feel like you may overcome, try on that reframe. Okay, this is simply another experience that I'm moving through. Is this beautiful spark of light moving through these human experiences? And how can I look at it differently than I may have before? Or if it's a new experience, is your nurtured upbringing or cultural context encouraging you to look at it one way that doesn't necessarily feel aligned? Maybe challenge yourself to look at it in a different way and see if that, be curious about that. See if that can move you into a different reframe or mindset that can come at it from a positive angle. Um, Go with the flow. Allow the water dragons to be that buoyant support as you move through those heavier experiences. Allow that divine timing to do its thing. Allow that water to dissipate the intensity of the heavy experiences that you might be having right now. Yeah, definitely an affirmation. That sparkler is just glowing, glowing, glowing. So, all right. That seems to be it. I'm not getting any other messages coming through. So, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't watched yet the last week with the Blue Dragons from the Pleiades, um, please do. I think that will help support the messages and information coming through. I encourage you to do that. Not pleading, but encouraging you. It is not an obligation, but it does definitely feel as though water dragons and the blue dragons from the Pleiades are really supporting one another to support us in this process of accepting this source healing, this heart activation, holding the space for that while we go through that transformation and releasing that energy of effort that is getting in the way of accessing that Christ light energy, that universal influence of that collective consciousness wisdom that has always been within. That's the spark of light, that sparkler. So as we gain access to that through the heart healing and source healing and heart activation, we'll be able to ground more fully into the um, development of our psychic abilities, our intuition, our gut feelings. We'll just be more in tune with all those things. The veil is thinning, and and to have fun. To have fun. Remember, the sparkler context is a celebration. Like, celebrate this as a win. So yeah, go with the flow and celebrate the sparkler as a win. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Until next time.